This isn't chemistry. Everything looks normal, and that's exactly the problem. In the quiet version of this storm, there are no broken plates or public scenes, only the silent, structural failure of a person's inner world. Some connections don't spark, they consume you from within. It's a quiet, steady pull that bypasses the logic of the mind entirely. It operates in the basement of the psyche, moving furniture while the lights are still off upstairs. Why does Quiet BPD love feel like an internal takeover? Is it love, or is it an invisible reorganization of your world? This isn't chemistry. If you have felt this, you'll know. You don't need to explain it, just notice it. I've noticed something about the way certain people love. It's a rhythm that most people would never understand because it doesn't happen in the room. It happens under the skin. It's not a conversation of words, but a conversation of nervous systems. Two people standing in a crowded room, but only one of them is vibrating at a frequency that feels like a silent scream. When the internal world has been chaotic for a long time, silence doesn't feel empty. It feels like a destination. It feels like the only place where the noise finally stops. A person might be sitting across from someone, stirring their tea, nodding at the right times, and yet miles away from the conversation. They are performing the ritual of being fine, while their internal compass is spinning wildly. Inside, the landscape is shifting in ways that would terrify a casual observer. They're not just liking someone, they are reorganizing their entire sense of self to fit into the gaps of the other person's life. The outside world sees a polite smile, but the interior is bracing for a total eclipse. Some relationships don't grow slowly, they pull you in instantly. And if you have felt that, you already know what I'm talking about. You know that specific stillness that settles when they walk into the room. It's a silent gravity that changes the weight of the air. You stop being the protagonist of your own story and become the satellite orbiting someone else's heat. And no one around you even notices it happening. Why this specific type of attraction feels impossible to walk away from isn't about them. It's about what happens in the silence. It's about the way the mind finally stops screaming when they are near. It's about the way the internal world suddenly finds a sun to orbit around. It's a relief so sharp it feels like pain, not because they are special, but because something inside finally stopped fighting. Because for the first time, the mind isn't fighting itself. The internal noise, the constant self-correction, and the endless, "Am I enough?" It all fades into the background. It's a relief that is so profound, it is mistaken for destiny. Everyone thinks this is just chemistry. But in this quiet storm, it's something much deeper. This isn't two people hitting it off. It's one person finding a place to hide. In Quiet BPD, this doesn't happen out loud. It happens entirely inside. There are no screaming matches, no dramatic exits, just a slow, silent surrendering of the soul. The silence is not peace, it is the holding of one's breath. The mind doesn't question it, it just accepts the new gravity. It stops asking, "Is this healthy?" and start asking, "How can I make this last forever?" The maybe is replaced by a terrifying, absolute must. Logic is a candle in a hurricane, it flickers and goes out. That feeling like the person has finally found their place, like something inside just clicks, and they don't even question the cost. They don't realize they are paying for the click with their own identity. Like for a moment, the soul finally feels allowed to exist without apology. But instead of showing it, the person keeps it completely inside. They guard the feeling like a secret. They are afraid will be stolen if they speak it. They become a master of the poker face of the soul, appearing calm while the foundations are shifting. They hold their coffee cup steady while their tectonic plates are grinding against each other. The effort to look normal is exhausting, but the fear of looking too much is even worse. That feeling where staring at a phone at 2 a.m. doesn't feel lonely anymore. It feels full, it feels heavy. The silence of the room is packed with the memory of their voice. It feels like they are there, even when they are not. Their absence is more present than most people's presence. The mind tells itself to slow down, but the heart doesn't listen. The brakes are cut, and the system finds itself leaning into the acceleration. There is a terrifying thrill in the loss of control. One doesn't say anything, but inside they have already attached. They are waiting for the needle to move, for the signal to confirm they still exist in that other world. Every text is a heartbeat, every silence is a stroke. The mind doesn't wander. It's a laser focused on a single point. Part of the mind knows this is too much, but pulling back feels wrong. It feels like a betrayal of the only real thing you have ever felt. Pulling back feels like tearing skin. That's not attraction growing slowly. That's an internal takeover. That's emotional recognition happening instantly. When the mind feels seen, it doesn't take its time. It doesn't ask for credentials. It simply opens the door and lets the flood in. It forgets that floods destroy everything in their path. So it doesn't feel like attraction. It feels like a merger. This doesn't mean it was imagined. The intensity was real, even if the foundation was invisible. The pain of it later is proof of how real it was. It means the heart recognized something before the boundaries could catch up. And that's why walking away from it later